Hi!
Hey there!
Hey, you're with the I'm at Events team. Again, we're doing a live broadcast of This Digital Life where we talk about various things, what it's like working in social media, but just the impact that social media has in general, because it impacts all of our lives now. So some of the ins and outs and quirks of social media. Today, we wanted to talk about some social media pet peeves. This is something that we talk about all the time, just little things that kind of Pikachu that people do, that marketers do, but also that, you know, people in general kind of tend to do, that it's like it just drives you up the wall. So we're talking about social media pet peeves. Tina, do you want to kick off with one of your pet peeves?
So we've actually written them all on cards just as a visual thing for you guys. So my first one is, I hope you can see, there's a day for everything. So this just gets on my nerves because as someone who creates a lot of content for a variety of different clients, there's always an excuse to post for something. So for instance, I think it was like yesterday or something, I saw that there was a National Catherine Day. So there's a day for someone's name, which is random, or National Grilled Cheese Month. There's an entire month for grilled cheese.
I do like grilled cheese, though.
I know, but does it deserve it?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, so there's stuff like that where I think it's all in good fun, but there are important days and periods of time that need to be, or should probably be, more recognized than National Grilled Cheese Month.
Yes, definitely.
So
That's so true.
For instance, there's I think it's Mental Health Week this week, and that's all great because that, you know, facilitates conversation, and there are things that you kind of should focus on in that respect rather than National Catherine Day.
Sure,
It's
sort of like that, like when everybody's special, nobody's special sort of thing. Like when every day is an occasion, are there really, like, does any occasion really mean anything anymore, since every day is something?
Yeah, it just kind of dilutes the meaning of the occasion.
Yeah. And it's just obnoxious.
It is.
When every day is something, and your feeds are just like clogged with ridiculousness, it gets to be it's a bit much.
Yeah, and it's junk. Like,
and it's junk.
It doesn't mean anything, right? Yeah.
And that kind of ties into one of my pet peeves, which is occasion posting. And, you know, when every day is something, as marketers, it's like, okay, now we've just got content for every single day because we'll just post about whatever occasion it is. But even bigger things, like I tend to get annoyed, or I'll be online less when there's like a legitimate occasion, like whether that's Christmas or Thanksgiving or Mother's Day, even though I'm a mother, like it just gets to be too much. Like that's the only thing that people are posting about, and it doesn't really contribute value or create meaningful conversations. It's just like posting for the sake of posting stuff. And as marketers in particular, and you know, you're talking about creating content for clients, for us, like when you're looking at creating a content calendar, so looking at a week, a month, or whatever the span of time is, it's way too easy to look at that month and go, oh, well, we know it's going to be this day, so we'll just, you know, throw something out there. And it's not creative, it's not original, it's just, again, it's just filler content. It's just posting for the sake of posting. And to me, it's a content crutch. That's sort of what I've come to call that, is like just, you're propped up by these things that are not original, creative, or that contribute any meaning out there in the social kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, totally. I'll go next. One of my top pet peeves is following and unfollowing on repeat. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's the brands, if you don't get a follow right away, they might not follow you back, and that will go into another one of my pet peeves later. But if you don't get a follow back, just cut while you're ahead. And then, if they do follow you, don't unfollow them a week later so your numbers are higher. That drives me absolutely insane. It's crazy. And then me as a community manager, I take the time to find out who that community manager is doing that, because I know it's wrong. It is such a bad thing to do. You should not be doing that.
And lots of people do that online because, and actually I was just thinking about this the other day, how much like people assume online you have to have more people following you than you follow. And like,
definitely.
you need to have a lot more people following you than you follow, and then that makes you look legitimate and important and influential. And to me, when I look at that, it's like, I see someone who is not engaged and who doesn't care and who doesn't want to have relationships and conversations. All they care about is themselves and broadcasting. So that, to me, that's the message that sends. But yeah, I mean, tons of people do that online. They really like aggressively follow people and then they unfollow them just en masse to inflate their numbers.
Well, because there are, we can get into that in a different video, but there are certain apps that are directed strictly for you to engage with people when you're not even on your phone. It's just a bot doing it for you.
Yeah.
So there are those apps, and that's totally, we can go into this in a different video, but that's not how social media is supposed to be. It's supposed to be interaction with real people and getting real results. Yeah.
For sure. All right. So my next one is unoriginal social media content. I'm not sure you can see that. It's fake, so. But yeah, so I'm speaking more about Instagram, I think. So personally, I follow a lot of fashion and kind of beauty bloggers and stuff, and I'm finding that there's almost a formula that people and influencers follow now. So it's, the same kind of filters, same kind of flat lays, specific poses that you do, and it's just very unoriginal. And while I do... Because everyone's doing it, right? Yeah. So there's no variation, and I think there are some, but I'm just finding in general that a lot of industries have specific formulas that they follow. And I know my boyfriend, he follows a lot of like fitness stuff, and he says the same thing where it's, just the same kind of
formulaic.
Yeah, you can follow one fitness channel and basically you'll find them all until I actually just found a good fitness channel, and in all of her feeds, she actually, when you go through, since Instagram now has that feed where you can go through them, she actually explains how she's doing her workout, so you're getting more of it than just, hey, I look really good. Right. So it's good. It's actually explaining and giving us something that we can use outside of it.
Right, and not just kind of like a vanity picture.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of concept, like not providing a lot of value, but just more of like an aesthetic and then like an appearance.
Yeah,
sure. Instagram's really like that though. Like I find in general, it tends to come across that way. It is kind of a vanity channel in a lot of ways. Not that it has to be though. Like there is absolutely great content out there, and there are people who are doing sort of fun and quirky things. And I think that some of actually the people that I follow that are my absolute favorites on Instagram are people like, I follow these, they're called First Time Farmers on Instagram. And I always talk about them because I think they're awesome. And they do use the same filter a lot, but like they're giving you sort of like this behind the scenes, what it's like to be a first time farmer. Right. And it's just like, it's really cool. And they're just doing like neat things. And I think that there are a lot of people who've sort of fallen into that trap of like, it's got to be this thing, right? It has to look this way. And if I'm in this industry here, this is what everybody else is doing. So this is what's expected of me too, instead of bringing your original personality into it and making it something your own.
For sure. I think there's definitely a standard that's being developed as time goes on, and the kind of formulas that people follow. But I think that's true of a lot of things in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. If you have pet peeves, things that people do online that drive you nuts, please feel free to leave those in the comments. We would love to hear what some of your little pet peeves are online as well. We come at it from a perspective as like being people who spend a lot of time online, but also people who work online too. So that gives us, there are things that marketers do, I think, that just, drive you totally nuts as well. One of them for me is quotes.
And I love quotes.
Oh my gosh. I so look forward to having this conversation for that reason. I do not like quotes.
Oh, I so love this.
And, I don't want to be a total jerk about it. Like, there are amazing, important things that people have said that still resonate. They're powerful. They're inspirational. Quotes, to me, irk me.
Yes, I know.
And marketers in particular tend to use them as a content crutch. Again, it's like
very
filler,
true,
right? Like if I need to fill my content calendar, quotes is easy.
Every quote on a Tuesday.
That's right. Or like, and all you have to do is copy paste.
Yeah.
Like that to me is not putting in a lot of effort.
100%.
It's not very original. There's also something to it that I feel like if you want to inspire people, then be inspirational. Through your actions, do things that will inspire people. Share, your successes or people who inspire you, or again through actions, right?
Yes, totally.
Then be inspirational. But quotes alone, like just posting something that someone else has said on its own, is not inspirational to me.
Yeah,
I think I'm sure I've posted a quote at some point.
Yes.
I'm sure I have. But it's also not something that I want to do continuously, because that's not really, it's not having a voice, right?
Yeah.
It's not contributing something, again, that's valuable, that's meaningful. And a lot of marketers just overuse it as a tactic and as filler content. So to me, that's where quotes are just like, ugh, like,
oh, totally.
have something to say yourself.
Yeah, no, I love a good quote. Mostly when I'm posting quotes, it's because it's more for me. Like, just where if you think about it, our social media channels used to be for ourselves.
Yeah.
We used to use it for ourselves. So if I'm having a crappy Monday and I saw like this motivational quote, yeah, I'm going to post it because it makes me feel better. So that's where sometimes with, I think our personal channels, that's one thing. For quotes, I'm not going to, for every single client we have, post a quote every Monday, because yes, that is really repetitive, and maybe you need to find some new ways to make content. But yes, that's where we go back and forth on this quote thing. I guess I'm next.
You are.
A messy social media feed. This one drives me insane. There are so many apps out there right now. We can leave it. I can comment in below and tell you about them. I do not, mostly for Instagram, I don't like going and seeing all the filters different. I feel like nowadays when someone's going to actually take the time to follow you, they're following you if they've gone to your page and everything looks clean and crisp. They can see what theme you're going for. But yeah, that's probably one of my top pet peeves. I think
Well, and I think if you've spent a lot of time online too, like most of us have adapted a certain style, like our own style. So that's like when things are messy, it's like there's no cohesive thing, right? Like what are you about?
Yeah.
Because that's what people kind of gravitate to, right? And when that's consistent, and I think that's different than being formulaic, right? Like I think you can figure out what your personal style is and still be really like super creative and not always in these, very posed sort of
photos. Yeah.
Definitely. And I also think like a feed or just the post that you do, it's not just the individual post that you post. It's your whole feed is a way to communicate your brand's or your personality.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So if it's messy, it just doesn't.
It makes you seem messy,
right? Yeah. All right, and then for my last one, I have homogeneous news feeds. So I think this is a big topic, especially when it comes to politics and things like more like wider and broader discussions. But a lot of the time, people feel entitled to express their opinions because they don't have to.
because they can.
Because they can, and they don't have to, confront someone personally. So people are more likely to do that. But I guess it's based on the algorithm. But people are kind of communicating to people who believe the same things that they do, and then they kind of reshare that amongst their circles, and it becomes almost a perpetual cycle of political opinion. So you almost think that you're right, or you think that your opinion is correct or valid because people are validating it, but it's really just the people who kind of believe the same thing. It's just your inner circle that believes that, when in reality, there's like a whole spectrum of things and spectrum of opinions that you don't get exposed to because you're just resharing within that circle, right? And also, I think I read the other day too that there's some new apps that are being developed where they kind of encourage you to explore different opinions. So I think it's, let me see here. I think it's called Pop Your Bubble. I think
cool.
it's developed by the Kind Foundation, I think. And so it just, I don't know exactly the nuances of it, but basically you're introduced to another person or another group of people who kind of have an opposing viewpoint, and you get exposed to that in some way.
That's really cool. And I find Facebook in particular is really, really bad. Their algorithms, I should say, because it's complex, but I think it's so easy to get into that bubble, right? Into that space of, surrounding yourself with thoughts and people who believe similar things, and then that only sort of serves to increase your righteousness, which is, I think, a really dangerous thing that we see happening online, because the more that increases, the more heated conversations tend to get, the more polarized people tend to be, and the more aggressive we get with each other in sort of trying to prove how right we are, right? Because it's just constantly being reaffirmed for us.
Yeah.
Well, my last pet peeve, and it's certainly not my last pet peeve, but, the last one I'm going to talk about today is junk food content. And that's, I keep talking about content and various types of content that bug me, but there's just so much out there, and we're constantly resharing what I think of as being the social media equivalent of junk food. And it doesn't mean that the content is bad either. I mean, there's certainly a lot of bad content, and that bugs me when we're resharing things that are poorly researched, that are unfounded, that are opinions masquerading as facts. That stuff really bothers me, because it also contributes to that, the self-fulfilling prophecy of like what we believe, right? So you can find anything online that's going to reaffirm what you already believe. That's not hard to do. But, outside of that, there are a lot of different types of content, like quotes, that to me are really, it's social media junk food. But I mean, they're even like tasty videos.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, like
I can't watch those at 11 p.m. without wanting to get up and make something. Like, holy cow.
Because honestly, like, I have so many tasty videos saved on Facebook. I watch them, I'm hypnotized by them, I love, and there's been all of this sort of stuff they've talked about, the psychology of those videos and why it's scientifically kind of brilliant.
And why do we always see them at 11 p.m. at night? Like, why does that always happen?
But as many of those videos as I've watched, I've never made a single thing I've ever seen in a tasty video. So it's wasted time. Like, I don't know how much of my time, of my life, I've watched tasty videos, and that it's not made my life any bit better, right? So it's entertaining, but it still ends up feeling like junk food content to me, right? And I think there are any number of different examples of just junky content, stuff that clogs our feeds and doesn't contribute, again, value and meaning, or, create kind of healthy discourse. There's tons of it out there, and it sucks so much of your time. Like, at the end of the day, and we talked about this last week, right? Like, the average person checks their phone, was it like 85 times a day? Yeah. And so
average,
the average person. And, we're looking at our phones and our devices so much more. And so, like, where is that time going? Is it really helpful, valuable?
No.
Is it, let's
just be serious. No.
And again, I don't hate Facebook. I spend a ton of time on Facebook, but I find Facebook the worst. Yeah, absolutely. Worst. Like, it's so easy to
just get into that deep hole.
You just scroll.
Infinite scroll.
Yeah. And you don't end up getting much of anything out of it.
No.
I've actually been a lot more conscious this past week in particular. Every time I go to my Facebook feed, I go for like 10 posts, and I'm like, did I get anything out of it? No. Off of Facebook. Like, I can't.
Smart.
I can't get sucked, into that vortex.
Okay, last but not least, one of my biggest pet peeves is rude comments. I'm sure you all know there's enough crap in this world right now. I think it's silly for people to be on a comment thread and just add into it and feed into these things, talk on stuff they don't know. It's just ridiculous. I think we as people have to understand that we don't all have the same opinion, and just like Jane and I, we do not. I love quotes. I love them. She does not. But at the same point, we're not going to get into a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram war over it.
Oh, we should.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
Because it's just silly. There's enough going on, and it doesn't, at the end of the day, ruin my life. it doesn't ruin Jane's life that I like quotes. But yeah, so these rude comments, they have to stop. You're mean, you're just being mean, and you're being a modern day bully, and that's not what we need in this world right now. We need more people to stand up and talk about positive things. Obviously, there's going to be bad things going on, but enough of these rude comments. I'm done with them. Out the window.
And you can, I mean, I think ultimately we're talking about a lot of the same things, but like, God, let's be kinder to each other, right?
Yes.
Like, there's no reason to expend the amount of energy that we do on, and I think some of it does come from a defense of our own beliefs, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And we're doing that really aggressively now, and being online allows us to do that without having to look at the other person and really deal with it, to really talk it through. You can kind of spew out anything and not have to be entirely responsible at the end of the day. For what you're saying. And I know for me being online, I don't get a lot of rude stuff, but on YouTube, I've had a few comments where I'm just like, why did you take your time to say that?
Yeah.
You know, and some people are just trolls and jerks, and you know that's going to happen. But yeah, there's this space can be something so beautiful that connects us. There's so many opportunities for it to be a positive, you know, point of connection for people. So yeah, to waste your time being rude is it's just fun. It's like, it's such a waste of time.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm done with it.
So if you have social media pet peeves, things that people do online that just bug the hell out of you, feel free to post those in the comments. We would love to hear what you think about this crazy journey that we're on online. And we're going to be back here next week, so come have lunch with us as we talk about this digital life. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.